Hi there, it's Jax, and I'm just filming a tiger lily here. And I chose the tiger lily to be. I chose to film in front of the tiger lily because it's just a backdrop of natural beauty. But the purpose of this video is to take another take of my Damascus knife that I've made. I've already shot a few videos of the knife and people may have seen it before. This is just another take on the subject. So, what we have here is a small, everyday carrying type of knife made with some pretty exotic materials. So, some of those materials are exotic blade steel. This is a blade steel that you might not see on knives in your day-to-day occurrence with other knives and stuff like that. This is a Swedish steel, and what it is two types of steel forged together to create layers. So some might call it pattern welded steel, and others might call it Damascus, and some might argue that it's not true Damascus, but it's layered steel, and the steel itself is pretty exotic. It's expensive, and it's made with a process that is different than regular conventional steels. So anybody familiar with super steel will know that what I'm talking about when I say that this is a powdered metal steel, which means that it means it's a particle metallurgy steel, which if I can explain it, it means that it's created differently so that the grain structure in the steel is smaller, more refined, tighter, and a bunch of other, and tougher, and certain other benefits. The purpose of this is to refine grain structure, and to make the knife perform better, be tougher, and to hold its edge better, and to be an all-around better steel. So this particular steel is called Damasteel, and it is a Vinland pattern Damascus. It went through numerous processes to achieve the textured or design that you see on the blade, namely after I shaped the blade and grinded it down to its specifications and whatnot, and then the blade itself was immersed in couple different acids, and the acids erode some of the softer steel, while the harder steel kind of stays the same, survives a little bit better, and thus etches a relief into the blade material itself. The knife here is modeled after a Bark River knife. I believe it was called the Little Carver, I think. And this blade has been polished with various different things. And as you can see right there, the very bottom of the cutting edge is mirror polished with up to 2000 grit sandpaper or stones. So if you can see that little shimmer at the very bottom of where the cutting edge is, that is a mirror polished edge. And truth be told, this edge right now is dangerous in that it's so sharp it'll split a hair. So there's the mirror polished edge on it. Comes to a very acute edge. So what we have here in the blade is a distal taper, which means that from a certain point to the tip, the blade continuously decreases in width until it comes to an acute point. Perhaps it's more noticeable, but that's called a distal taper. And this blade features a full flat grind, which means from the spine of the blade to the very cutting edge, it also has a distal taper. It continuously goes down in an arc. So it's a full flat grind, much like a Spyderco. So this is different than a saber grind, a hollow grind, a Scandi grind, things like that. The cutting edge itself is I think it's a pure 17-degree edge. So the knife has a full tang construction, meaning that underneath the handle slabs, the steel goes from the very back to the tip. So it's not a partial tang or anything like that. It's full tang, which is known for its strength. Now the handles are pretty exotic stuff, ordered in from a knife making supply, no doubt, and it's wood from Africa. I think it's Palo Rojo. I might be wrong. This might be Palo Rojo. When you stain it with varathane, it takes on a really orangey type of hue. It's already kind of an orange wood. And I stained it with a bunch of different stains, but I just sanded off the varathane today, so now it's got a 2000 grit natural finish. So the wood itself is an exotic hardwood, I believe. I could be wrong. No, I'm pretty sure it's Palo Rojo. So it's Rojo wood from Africa. It was given to me by another knife maker. The steel, I might add, was a birthday gift. I got it in a shape of a bar, and I made 3 knives out of it so far, and this is one of them. Now the sandwiched between the wood, I don't know if you can see it, is 2 red liners on either side. These are spacers. They add a visual touch. They might have some other benefits, but I went with the red and it looks pretty nice, I gotta say. So it's vulcanized spacer material, in there. Now, seeing as I didn't at the time have access to true knife making materials in the way of handle pins, I made my own system out of hardware store bolts, but I did choose brass, and I did choose brass for this. So I think this is pure brass. Some of the knives I've used chrome plated brass and brass. Yeah, so I pretty much drilled the holes to the according size for each side here. Countersunk the bolts, which were octagon shaped, like a bolt, but I grinded them down to circular circular shape to mimic cutlery rivets, or true cutler's pins or whatever. So it's brass hardware in there. Brass is known for its anti-corrosive properties, anti-rust properties at least. So yeah, so the blade, I think this blade I started with 120 grit on the very cutting edge, went up to 280 grit, then 600 grit, then 1,000 grit, and then 2,000. So the actual cutting edge is a 2,000 grit. Mirror polish on a Lansky sharpening system, and so that's the little carver. The blade shape you might call a warncliffe with a recurve. And there's the pattern Damascus. And you might not be able to pick it up on the camera, but the Damascus pattern goes on even on the spine, even on the inside of here. Yeah, so kind of gives you an idea. Now this steel, I was going to go into the elements of the steel, but it's almost like CPM 154. It's similar to 154 CM, except for it's a powder metal technology, and it has, I think it's PW27, which is a powdered version of. See, now I might not understand that correctly, but for those that want to know it, it might be similar to a Damascus mix of 12C27 if it was a CPM steel mixed with CPM 154, if that makes sense to anybody out there. That's the two steels that make up the makeup. So here we have the little guy. And here we are in Muriel Lake, Canada. So there's the little feller. That shiny, crazy razor's edge. If anybody has any questions, would like to know about where to get the steel or anything more about the knife, drop me a line. And if you also want to know maybe a little bit about stock removal knife making, maybe I might know something that might help you out. But alright, here's my homemade little carver. Thank you for watching. And I'm Jackson, the Canadian from Muriel Lake. And thanks for watching.